While recording a news segment, Walter Martin takes his own life in front of an entire studio team. The news segment was to reveal strange material he witnessed on a VHS tape. He suddenly seems to stop, and then it happens. What was on the tape? Is the tape cursed or infected with some other paranormal phenomenon? What was on the tape? Is the tape cursed, or is it infected with some other kind of paranormal phenomenon? I'm your host, Nox, and this lesson in fear is called Teleforum. Our story begins with Channel 8 employees visiting the late Walter Martin's wife, Adriana. Juliana, the reporter, accompanied by her cameraman, Silva, head into the apartment complex where Adriana lives. They take the elevator up to floor 6. They have a tense moment during the elevator ride about visiting the widow, literally only a day after the tragic event. Talk about having no elegance. They converse about how Walter had given someone at the studio a tape to broadcast during his reveal segment, but it wouldn't play due to strange technical issues. Immediately after these issues, the incident happened. "You're lucky you didn't see it," said Juliana. "I wish I didn't." It's obvious the scene still weighs on her heavily. The rest of the elevator ride is silent, sans the pulling of the elevator fighting against gravity. The pair arrive at apartment 608, the home of Walter's widow. Juliana knocks repeatedly until eventually a raggedly exhausted Adriana opens the door. "What do you want?" she says in a short tone. Juliana informs her they came to offer their sympathies, but Adriana emits skepticism. "Did you need a camera for that?" Adriana falls for their ploy, being that they are making a recognition video for Walter and his life. The pair enter the apartment, but Silva expresses hesitance with the lie. Underneath the shroud of falsehood, Juliana is here to learn more about the tape that Walter was so desperate to show on air. Adriana insists on making coffee and leaves them in the living room. "Make sure to film stuff in the room that we can use later," Juliana instructs Silva. The wall is covered in degrees and awards, Walter being a very accomplished journalist. While looking at the TV, Silva notices that it seems defective. Juliana mentions there was a bad lightning strike the day Walter passed. It could have messed it up. Why do I feel like a casual lightning strike when someone dies is a lot more ominous than they think it is? Adriana returns with coffee and agrees to do the interview. During the interview, Juliana mentions that she can't even imagine Walter handling a gun, much less doing what he did. "What do you mean gun?" asks a confused Adriana. "Walter never had a gun," he continues confidently. Adriana doubles down and informs Juliana she was told he had hanged himself ever since he got that damn tape, she says, her eyes drifting away, the sadness erupting in her voice. Juliana inquires further about the tape. Walter had wanted to broadcast it, but the film inside the tape was damaged. Adriana reveals that it was a copy and that the original never left the house. Adriana claims that she never watched the tape and has no idea where it came from. Walter had made her swear that she would never watch it, and he watched it repeatedly when she wasn't home. She deduces why the pair came for this interview. "You want to see the tape, don't you?" She sighs and stands up. "I'm going outside for a smoke. I don't want to see it," and leaves the tape in Juliana's care. Juliana inserts the tape into the VCR. This is definitely going to go poorly. The tape shows a building, then it flashes to strange symbols. Both Juliana and Silva observe. They don't know what the symbols mean, but they feel a pull from the back of their mind, as if they should know. The video jumps to a prison-looking hallway with people inside cells. A man appears at the end of the hallway, saying something repetitively, undecipherable by the pair. The tape abruptly shifts to bars and tone. Their vision flashes, and they are back in the elevator, with only a strange sense of deja vu. They head to the 6th floor, unaware that time has looped backwards for them. Juliana looks as if she hasn't slept in days. She appears exhausted, and her attitude is more abrupt and annoyed. Even when Silva takes a moment to examine a window, Juliana snaps at him. "Stop wasting time." They arrive at apartment 608 again. Juliana is more direct this time, and Adriana allows them in again, just like before. Silva doesn't approve. "She's got her whole life to mourn. We need this now," she tells him. Adriana makes coffee again. This time, the family dog, Gunpowder, is standing up in the doorway. A large dog, but friendly and tame nonetheless. Silva looks at the walls like before, but doesn't recognize any of the institution names like previously. It appears that Silva, Juliana, and Adriana are not aware that this has already happened. Or perhaps this is an alternate reality. It would seem watching this tape has induced them into some kind of repetitive time loop, slowly wearing them down. Or do I continue to look around? Juliana starts acting anxious. There's a weird thing hanging above the door. Take it down, she demands. Silva looks over at it. It's a horseshoe-shaped decoration. Silva expresses confusion. My mom had one. It reminds me of her. I don't want to be reminded of her, Juliana says, growing more anxious. Silva obeys and stuffs it into his jacket pocket. Maybe he can hand it off to Adriana and tell her it fell or something. Adriana returns with coffee and sits for the interview just like before. This time, Juliana wastes no time on pleasantries. We examined the tape Walter had. It was a copy. We want the original, she says, lacking all tact. Why is Juliana acting this way? What is so different now? What is happening in this loop? Adriana becomes upset. If I had known that was what you wanted, I wouldn't have opened the door. She leaves the tape on the table and storms out of the apartment, cigarettes in hand. Silva chastises Juliana. Juliana apologizes, and Silva decides to go comfort the widow. Silva finds her by the window, her cigarette smoke pulling outside by the wind. In conversation, Adriana mentions the only strange thing that Walter did that day was make a copy of the tape. She also claims that someone delivered the tape to their home, but she didn't see who. Walter being a media collector, so it wasn't strange at first to receive odd tapes. Adriana carries on but confesses she feels like she has seen Juliana and Silva before. Had she seen them before? Or is this just lingering memories from that groundhog effect? Silva notices the horseshoe in his pocket. It almost feels heavier than it did before. He confesses that it feels like something in his mind is weighing heavily on him, just slightly out of sight. Adriana continues to smoke. I don't want this broadcast. Drop the camera, she says abruptly. You can tell them I clawed at you for all I care. Silva's brain feels fuzzy. He feels the horseshoe in his pocket again. His eyes flash white. Silva finds himself climbing the stairs. He feels a strange pull. I have to find the apartment, he says aloud between breaths. He's not sure why, and he's not sure how, but the answers are there in his mind, just within reach. Apartment 608, he mutters. He struggles to recall Juliana's name. Someone else was with me. His brain is pulled in multiple directions. Juliana? Juliana with two N's? Julia? Arriving to floor 6, Silva sees the elevator door with a grate on it. He peers through it and sees Juliana staring at a wall, not moving, completely frozen and unresponsive. She appears to be soaking wet. Unable to properly process thoughts, he moves on down the hall to the window, where he notices a dog, Gunpowder, the name right there in his mind. The power blinks, and Gunpowder trots back to 608. Underneath where Gunpowder was is a crumpled piece of paper. I've had it and did what I shouldn't. Now all I see is edited in my memories. I am surrounded by forms, figures that mean nothing to me. Anything more than that terrorizes me, like the face in my memories. If anyone reads this, don't leave Gunpowder alone. Silva struggles to read, a sense of dizziness infecting him. He turns to follow Gunpowder into the apartment, obeying the note. In the apartment's threshold, he laughs slightly, a strange thought in his mind. He says it out loud. The camera carries me. Inside the apartment, the TV is damaged, but the room looks similar enough. The door where Adriana previously would make coffee was open. It reveals a large hallway into a big room. Gunpowder sits on the floor by another TV. The TV shows Walter Martin's broadcast. It was never released from the news station. How did it get here?
Caros telespectadores, boa noite. Hoje nós teremos uma transmissão especial do nosso programa. Possivelmente a minha última. E com ela trago um comunicado a fazer para todos vocês. Descobri algo nas últimas semanas que tem me assombrado desde então. Palavras não serão o bastante para descrever o que descobri. Portanto, eu vou precisar mostrar. E talvez isso venha assombrar vocês, assim como tem me assombrado. Mas a minha profissão, meu trabalho, foi revelar a verdade durante todos esses anos. E se quisermos nos libertar, preciso que todos saibam disso que tenho a mostrar. Por isso, peço que todos sintonizem bem seus aparelhos. Não cruzem suas pernas, isso é importante. Mas fiquem confortáveis com a coluna reta e observem com atenção.
Silva and Juliana continue in the loop without knowing it. The first time is normal. The second time, Juliana is more abrupt. The third time, Silva struggles in the staircase. Strange details emerge while doing these loops, such as numbers and the letter T. A strange note in the jacket pocket referring to a mysterious metal safe. This time, however, when Silva reaches the large room with the TV, Walter Martins appears again, but this time warns the Watcher.
Se está vendo isso, acredito que já seja tarde demais. As lentes deles já se tornaram nossos olhos. Tudo que vemos. Eu entendo o afã em buscar mais, entender mais. Mas já sabe o que aconteceu comigo por tentar fazer o mesmo. Por que seguiu esse mesmo caminho? Bom, não importa. Já chegou a verdade, telespectador. E ela tem um custo. Mas não precisamos pagar tudo. Não precisamos nos submeter. Ouça. Eles não têm controle disso. Não ainda. Desligue o vídeo. Vá embora e não volte. Escapará por entre os dedos deles. A maior das rebeldias. Vá embora. Não volte.
The tape ends. Silva and Juliana appear in the elevator. This time, while reaching for the elevator button, Silva's mind can feel numbers and letters just almost out of grasp. He manages to remember them and presses the button in the elevator. The elevator moves. It opens into an area outside. Silva realizes Juliana's not with him anymore. How did I get out here? He exclaims in a panic. He walks through the pitch dark woods that only the flash from his camera to illuminate his path. Silva struggles in the forest to remember his own thoughts. He keeps sensing a presence nearby. He feels as if he's losing himself. I need to concentrate on something, he whispers, trying to stay lucid. He recalls the tape. Adriana had handed him the tape. Juliana watched it. That memory feels crisp and clear. Eventually, Silva comes across a lake and a boat at the shore. He rubs his eyes. No, I should embrace the forest. I don't know where this lake goes. After wandering the forest for what feels like years, Silva sees a man in the distance. Walter? Silva calls out. The man turns around, his figure surrounded by a faint red glow. You know me? I've been here for a while now. I guess stopping and waiting was the best choice, he responds. Silva starts to speak, but Walter holds up a hand, interrupting him. Think carefully about what you're going to say. Where are we? Chokes out Silva. Walter, without hesitation, responds. Mizana Beam. By the way, I would like to follow this video up with a lore-related video that takes a deeper dive into this story, but there is another game that I need to play that could be related to it before I can get around to that. So be sure you get subscribed so you don't miss out.